Now we look at an example, summing numbers in a file. Before, we have summed the numbers from 1 to n. We used I for the next number, initialized it to 0, and then we just incremented it to be ready for the next time through the loop. Instead, we could take our numbers from a file, assuming that we have one number per line in the file, in which case we set things up slightly differently. We're going to read until we get to the end of the stream, so we can read a line, and here I get rid of extra white space. I point out that this is a string. The numerical value we have to parse, and then we can add it to the sum. We do this until we hit the end of the stream. Remember to close the reader, and we can return the sum. Here's a slightly more elaborate version. I have a main program asking the user for a file name. You can always mistype things. Here I use a handy function in the file class. File.exists. When you give it a string name, it returns true if that really refers to a file in the file system. And in this case, if it does, we go on and we calculate the sum. In this case, otherwise, I just comment that it's a bad file name. I also elaborated calc sum. I allowed for empty lines in the file. Here it's important that I first read in a line as a string and trim it. That's really why I was doing it before too. And only if there's something there do I assume that it's a number that I'm then going to add to the sum after I parse it. Let's give this a try. First of all, notice that numbers.txt is a file in the project. 12 and 3 is 15 and 5 is 20 and minus 4 is 16. So let's run this. Run item. Enter the name of a file of integers. Well, I can say numbers.txt. But it says it's a bad file name. We're going to talk more in the next section about the current directory. But the way MonoDevelop is set up, the current directory where it's looking for files is actually 2 folders below the project folder. We can alter the way we refer to the file by saying ... which is the parent folder, then a slash, then ... for the next parent folder. That should bring us back to the project folder, and then we want numbers.txt. Try again. So this time I'm on a Windows machine. I'll use \/ numbers.txt, and it reads the file and correctly gives me the sum. Notice we used the file.exists. The function exists in the class file. Again, it takes a path string as a parameter. We'll talk more about that in the next section, and it's a Boolean function returning true or false whether it exists. We will go on in the section on the FIO helper class to discuss more flexible ways to find and open files, particular ones that help us in our MonoDevelop situation.